What type of person do you need to be to become a polymath? And I'm not talking about the specifics of the knowledge you must have or the discoveries you must make. I'm talking about what type of person do you inherently need to be? What type of personality and how must your mind work in order to have the potential to become a true polymath? Polymaths are always learning. And they're always learning because they have this curiosity that drives them. You have to be someone who questions things. You have to be someone who ponders things. If you aren't curious, you won't be driven to learn. If you aren't curious, you won't be driven to discover. You have to be curious. Another trait that goes in hand with curiosity is that you have to be a thinker. You have to be an active thinker. You can't necessarily be someone who takes everything from face value. You have to look into things, you have to research things, and you have to look deeper than what you first see. And I think one of the most important factors in becoming a polymath, or at least having the personality to possibly become one, is that you have to see life from an everything perspective. Now, what do I mean by that? To see life from an everything perspective means to see subjects as interconnected. It means not to restrict certain domains to themselves, and instead to see everything as interrelated in some way, shape, or form. You have to be able to relate subjects to each other, and you have to be able to see the intricacies and the relationships between subjects, even if they seem unrelated at face value. During the Renaissance era, where there was a boom in polymaths, and the geniuses of that time related theology and philosophy to science and art. And what you would call those people are natural philosophers. They integrated science and art and theology together. Now, don't get me wrong here. Combining the humanities with science led to a lot of false science, led to a lot of pseudoscience. Natural philosophy and alchemy, all those things, they did lead to false truths. But what I would say in the modern day is that now that science is so established, and for the most part everyone is specialized these days, in some way it creates an environment where we may be able to have this resurgence of natural philosophy and polymathy. And I think quite possibly natural philosophy and polymathy, along with specialization in science, could coexist. Of course, pseudoscience exists even today, and during the Renaissance era there was plenty of false science. But back then, of course, it wasn't seen as false science, it was seen as truth. But now we know it was false. But because there's this greater abundance in understanding and knowledge of science, in some way it acts as a filter. If there was someone today who was a natural philosopher and they were spreading false ideas, it would be easier now to determine whether their ideas were true or false, because we have a greater knowledge of science and we have different scientific methods to rule out what might be truth or what might be pseudoscience. The problem is separation. We've seen this sort of switch. During the Renaissance era, if you were someone who was of high intelligence, you had knowledge and expertise in multiple different areas, hence naming those people polymaths. But now we have specialists. Everyone is specialized. And although everyone is in some sense a generalist, people specialize themselves in one area. And because of that, viewpoints can be one-sided. If we have more people who are well-versed across multiple different areas, if we have people who are well-versed in science as well as the humanities, those people are the ones who can bridge those things together and see those subjects in a new light. Because in this day and age, we see science and humanities as completely separate, and we don't mix those things together at all. Because look what happened back then. There was pseudoscience, there was false truths, and it led to incorrect theories. But now, in the modern day, I think they can coexist. We can have natural philosophers, and we can have people who are just scientists. We can have people who combine the humanities and the sciences into one. Because people like that are the Da Vincis. People like that are the geniuses that have these insane inventions and these incredible ideas that change the world. And people today, even if they're only an expert in one field, can change the world. But think about what someone could do if they weren't restricted. If they didn't see life as only science, or if they didn't see life as only religion, and they combined these things. These people exist today, but they're not nearly as common, and the people that are like this probably don't really have any sort of platform or any sort of real influence in either the scientific world or the world of humanities. You could say this is kind of a dangerous idea in some way, the revival of polymathy and natural philosophy. But like I said, because we have so many people specialized, it acts as a truth filter. In many ways, we've lost what the Renaissance man used to be. They don't really exist anymore, but that doesn't have to be the case. If you're watching this video, you're probably someone who has multiple interests. You know what? There's so many people who are interested in polymathy and interested in philosophy and interested in sciences and everything like that. So why must we restrict ourselves? We shouldn't. We shouldn't restrict our curiosity. We shouldn't restrict our minds into specializing ourselves just for the sake of the system. There needs to be some sort of synthesis between science and philosophy. I'm not calling for the removal of specialization. Specialization is a good thing, and we need specialists. That's an important thing. But we lack polymaths. We lack people who see the world from an everything perspective. And I think if we have more thinkers who see life from an everything perspective, I think that will overall benefit the world. I think it will benefit science. I think it will benefit the humanities. I think it will benefit human understanding and our understanding of the world. I think that they can coexist. And although it could lead to a lot of false science, I think that is just part of the process. And even today, there's false science. I think it's a considerable idea. I also think economically and systemically, there's reasons why polymathy doesn't really exist anymore, but I'll get more into that in my next video. We need more people who can see things from a philosophical perspective and a technological perspective and a scientific perspective all at the same time. Because if you have just one mind who can see from all those different perspectives and who can collaborate with others who see from different perspectives, I think it would greatly help the world move forward. I'm calling for the revival of polymathy. These people need to work in unison, and they need to work side by side. And I think if you take people who are specialists and who are high-level generalists, or maybe even on the level of polymathy, then we might see incredible things happen. The way I see it is, it's unlikely that we'll see this resurgence happen, this resurgence in polymathy and natural philosophy and the combination of science and humanities. I doubt we're going to see this happen anytime soon in a large quantity. But these people do exist, and I think it's important to have thinkers and minds that see things from an everything perspective. I doubt that we're going to have, academic institutions making changes and encouraging people to not specialize and to actually do these certain things. And that's not a bad thing. It's just, if this were to happen, it would have to happen naturally. And the only way or reason this would occur if we see more people striving to become like a Da Vinci, if we see more people interested in polymathy and trying to genuinely widen their scope of knowledge and to understand things in an interconnected, interrelated way. Let me know your thoughts about this topic. I can definitely see how there could be a lot of problems that could arise if we see, this resurgence of natural philosophy, but I think it's definitely something that could potentially coexist now that we have specialization in science and in many other subjects. Look forward to another video. I'm going to make another video pretty soon on polymaths, and it's kind of related to this topic. But yeah, anyways, let me know your thoughts, and yeah, thanks for watching.